Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Goal Setting Part 4 with Lisa Sarimi. My name is Nicole, and I'm on the Access Elite team that has brought this event to you today. For those of you who aren't familiar, Access Elite is a health and wellness company. We provide on-demand wellness content, same-day prescription delivery, and facilitate live virtual events such as these, as well as much more. We at Access Elite are so excited to facilitate this event and bring a little bit of positivity and connection to your day. So I just want to take a moment and thank you all for joining in. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today. Lisa is a transformational coach, a marriage and family therapist, and a yoga therapist. And with that, Lisa, please take it away.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here, and we are wrapping up our goal setting workshop series. Today's our fourth session, so hopefully you've been kind of moving through the process with me. We'll do a little review in case you haven't, and I'll go ahead and without further ado get started with our PowerPoint. So to get the most out of your time today, make sure you have pen and paper, or maybe you prefer to do a little typing, and you could do that, but just set up so that you can do a little bit of the processing in the goal setting realm as we move forward. So our series started with the law of manifestation and attraction. We then dove into kind of revealing the veil of the unconscious by looking at our core values and really looking at how those values are bringing in all the things that we're getting in our lives. And then we looked at, okay, great. Well, if there's some areas that aren't in alignment. So how can I use my vision and image to start to invoke and bring forward and cultivate the things that I really want to create in my life? And then today, after all of that work, we're going to actually boil it down into actual goals and actual action items that we can take. So today we're going to review that very first session where we went over the law of attraction and conscious manifestation. We'll review our 5 core values in the value wheel, harnessing our vision, and then we'll start to dive into the goal piece today. Goals with intention. Maybe some of you have heard of SMART goals before, and maybe you haven't, but regardless, I hope that they leave you inspired and they help you put something on to paper that you can be pulled into with an action plan. And then we'll review the formula of success before we finalize things today. So revisiting the law of manifestation or attraction. The first thing I just want to remind us about this law is it's always at play. And so the whole part of this workshop and this series of workshop was to bring attention to the fact that the law of attraction is always at play, just like gravity. And sometimes we're not even conscious about what we're creating, but we are creating. So what happens when we start to look at what are we creating unconsciously? What are the lenses that that creation is happening through? And then how can we actually harness our desires, our heartfelt desires, and our vision to actually have this law begin to work for us and serve us? A lot of times what happens is we get stuck in rumination on the past. And as we project that past into our future, it ignites those emotions inside of us. And then we keep wondering why we keep getting what we've always gotten. So as we move more into the law of attraction from a place of being consciousness, we now can actually be a little more in control or have some more agency over what messages that we're sending out. And how do we do it? Well, our attention. It's one of the biggest gifts, and it's one of the most powerful things that we have, along with our breath. When we give our attention to something, we give our energy to that thing. And when we give our energy away, it's like we're putting the engine towards manifesting whatever our energy is going towards, right? So just remember, wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. So when we look at all that, a lot of time our attention goes to places that the unconscious mind is taking it. And a lot of our unconscious mind has been informed by values, that fingerprint that defines who we are and what's important to us. Um, so that kind of can sometimes just happen in the background unconsciously, and it's navigating the ship, but we're not understanding why we keep, like I said, getting the same things over and over and over again. So we took some time to reflect on our core values. And if you're just joining us today, feel free to spend some time before you do these deeper layers to either come back to or to do before you do the actual goal setting, which is what we're going to do today, to really reflect on what are your core values and what are those values? How are they impacting your beliefs, your thoughts, and your experiences in life? So we boiled it down to 5 core values. Now, the circle that you see on the right, that's not the values, that's actually different areas of our lives, right? So what I found when I work with clients is when we really harness and get honest about what are the values and how are they informing thoughts, actions, and behaviors, then we can look at this wheel to the right. And this wheel just encompasses the different areas of our life that can be important. And it's really interesting, right? So you have these 5 core values, and I'll have them put them on the front of the page. And then looking at each one of these categories, it's like some areas, those values are so present and it feels so in alignment. And in other areas, it doesn't feel in alignment fully, right? So maybe typically what I find is that 2 to 4 of the pies of the whole here will be not at like 70% or above as far as how do you work with the wheel. Sorry, let me back it up a second. So what we did with the wheel is we took the values and we filled into each pie slice the percentage of alignment we felt with those 5 values and that area of life. So for example, imagine that some values for you are freedom, honesty, love, and growth. Freedom, honesty, love, and growth. That's 4. And then let's add family, relationships, actually. Let's just add relationships. So we would look at personal growth. We would look at those 5 values and we would just say, okay, like, am I in alignment when it comes to my family as far as my own growth as a human being? Is love present in the way I'm enveloping my own growth, right? Am I being honest with myself when I'm doing that work for self-personal growth? And so as you go through these different values and you ask yourself those difficult questions, you'll get a gut sense, right? It's like an intuition, a knowing. It's like, okay, when I look at those values, if I was being honest with myself, I actually feel really good in this category. Let's say you feel like you're at a 90%. So you would fill that pie to 90%, or that piece of the pie, and then you would go to each and every other slice. Now, once you finish the whole wheel, the value wheel, you have a sense of what areas feel a little out of alignment. So I just recently did this and looked at my values and looked at like health and fitness. And I noticed, wow, you know what? This was an area I used to be at 90%, but with some of the things that have happened over the last 12 months, this is an area that can really use some of my attention. So this practice of defining our values is doing a couple things and working with the value wheel. One, it helped us really see what is unconsciously driving that law of attraction in our lives. And 2, it helps us really see what are the pieces of the pie of our lives that don't feel very balanced and in alignment with what's true to us, which are our values. And that's our unique fingerprint, right? Nobody can know what that feels like but us. And then once you work with the wheel, you're going to pick the top 3. okay? Areas that are most misaligned, the ones that are most not working. And you might even like maybe romance and friends and social, you're finding like a little competition between the two. Then you kind of drop into your heartfelt desire. And it's like, okay, if I'm going to work on, let's say, my career and my family, and then I also am drawn towards romance or friends and social, it's like, okay, between those two, which is the most important to you that you want to put your energy towards? And again, we're putting our energy towards those areas in our life where we don't feel fully aligned with our values, so that we can bring in some creativity and some imagination to create an intention to really create a future that's worth living for us. So we begin to harness conscious manifestation. We reveal what's in the unconscious, that lower level of the iceberg. And rather than letting it control our lives and calling it fate, we then look at how can we bring our consciousness forward to start to inform the life that we really want. So we have to harness a vision first, right? We got to get up in the imaginal realms. We got to let that younger dreamer that was with us maybe when we were a little bit younger to really be present and to let yourself dream so big, so big. So writing down on a piece of paper, maybe your name, and saying dreams big, and just allow yourself to write all of your visions down, all of the things that you feel a heartfelt desire for. And then you'll notice this other part of you called the critic might show up and say, wow, well, that's a really cute idea that you think you're going to get all that, but you know that that's not going to happen. And we're going to notice the critic when the critic arises, and we're going to say, thank you for sharing. And, I am just doing an exercise of dreaming here. So in the realm of dreaming, no rules apply, right? Then we can work with this vision to actually get into action to manifest the things that are really important to us, the things that we really want to move our energy towards. And part of that action plan is goals, right? So we're going to work on that today. We've been harnessing our vision and really getting connected to our vision and what that is. And by the way, that just starts here, right? We're at the beginning of this creation, meaning like as you did your vision board and as we do these goals, like this is an organism, your dream, right? And so you're going to come back and you're going to revisit in the future to kind of just see, am I meeting my mark? Am I off my mark? Are there any adjustments I need to make in my action plan? And step 3, it's almost like step 2 and step 3 need to hold the space energetically in your heart and your mind when you're doing this work, because if you have an action plan, you need the structure to set yourself up to win. So you want to make sure that your environment is supportive, that you have the things that you need to actually fulfill on that action plan. Because if you don't set yourself up to win and you climb too high or jump too high, you might kind of get disappointed or feel deflated, right? So when we get into the goals, actually the SMART goals, we'll work on really harnessing that. And then with all of that said, being a yoga therapist and a yogini myself, I put down scheduled time outs. And what that really means is like sometimes when we're creating and we have our action plan and we're up to something and we feel connected to our meaning and our purpose, we can get so driven and so attached to a vision that we forget to pause, that we forget to slow down a little bit and to just notice, like, does this still make sense? So these are different ways, the 4 steps of harnessing your vision. And we've done all that, right? So hopefully you've been with us, you've been doing this work on your own time, so that now we can harness goals. We can really put together that action plan. So the first thing I want to do is make a distinction between intention and goals. So intention is a verb. It's having a mind or a purpose or a goal that one intends to bring about, but the intention is not necessarily specific or measurable, as we'll see with our goals it is. It's just more like a way of being and like a commitment that's in the background. So an example of this could be, I remember a long time ago, I had to have like a medical procedure done, and I am like the biggest wuss. I don't like pain. I don't like anything that's uncomfortable. I definitely don't like to go to the doctor. So there I am, and I know it's coming, and we've probably all been there, you know, whether it's the dentist or the doctor, whatever the procedure is. And I just remember, like, I was going to create and cultivate, my intention was to create and cultivate just a peaceful, calm experience. And I even created through language, my health practitioner created, I said, you know, I have this vision that you're going to make this the most seamless, easeful experience I've ever had. And it was really powerful because actually by giving my attention to that intention, that was the experience I had and I walked away with, right? So when we think about our goals, we want to watch that sneaky part of us that likes to get attached and likes to judge and criticize ourselves. We want to think about, like, what's the intention coming from your heart's consciousness that you want to bring forward into the actual goal itself. Who do you want to be when you're doing all the doing? Who do you want to be? And that is going to really inform your experience, right? We all have maybe gone on a trip and maybe been in a bad mood, like a vacation or a night out with our friends or family or whatever it is. And who we were being was kind of a jerk or an upset or sad. And so even though we might have been in this really amazing place where that could harness joy and happiness and all of those types of feelings, we might have been feeling different feelings, right? That are not a reflection of the environment that we're in. So to bring it back, the intention is really, who are you going to be? What is the purpose behind the goal? Who are you going to be in the standing of it all, whether it goes your way or doesn't go your way, right? So sometimes I'll have the intention in the day to leave all things better than I find them. So like no matter what happens, if I go to a public restroom, if I go to someone's house, if I have a phone call with someone, if I'm doing a presentation, I always try to interweave that intention to give my life and my time more meaning and purpose. Now, I'm spending the time because there is a difference between intention and goals. Goals are more of a noun, and they're like something that we're moving towards and we're putting our effort towards. Now, SMART goals are a really great way to design these goals because SMART goals are going to invite us to bring in a few things to create like a container. We're going to make them specific. We're going to make them measurable, attainable, and relevant within time. So here we are, SMART goals with intention, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So for example, if you had a dream that you can fly like a bird, that would be really hard to put into the realm of SMART goals. And not actually, right? We could be specific, like I want to have the experience of flying like a bird. Measurable, some way to measure that you have that experience. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm fully levitated and it's so many feet away from the earth up in the sky. Attainable, meaning like we have technology that might be able to give you that type of experience, right? Attainable would maybe be challenging if you had, I'm going to flap my arms like wings and I'm going to take flight, right? That might not be attainable. So we would have to modify unless we have the right technology, which may or may not be out there. And then relevant, like, does it all fit? Does it all make sense? And is it actually possible to complete it in a timely manner? Now, making your goals smart are a part of setting yourself up to win, right? Because if we go into goal making that is completely unrealistic, unattainable, not specific, and hard to like measure, we might get really deflated and we might feel really let down. So we want to also work with goals in different time frames, right? We might have these bigger, longer term goals, 5, 10, 20 years down the line. And then we want to kind of move backwards, actually. So I usually like to work with the future self first, and then allow yourself through that connecting, which gives you kind of like, okay, if I'm going to be, I don't know, let's say just for simplicity, married in 10 years, I want to make sure that I'm married and I have kids. Then when you look at 5 years, there's certain things that might need to be accomplished to know that you're on track to meet that goal, right? And then after you look at 5 years, you might have to look at 4 years and 3 years and 2 years. And then there's that 1 year that leads us to the year that we're in, the year that we're focusing on right now. And then all of this and all of these goals become a stepping stone to the fulfillment of your vision. So if you did a dream board or a vision board, maybe there are some things on there that feel really big, right? We're dreaming. We're envisioning these possibilities. And it's this practice of putting an action plan together and finding ways to define those actions through smart goals with intention that we can make those dreams come true. So we just keep working backwards till we literally can actually get into today. So that every day you're just doing a little something. It doesn't have to be a lot. That's how we eat an elephant, right? Just one bite at a time. And then all of a sudden we look back and we're like, wow, I can't believe it. I did all that. It happened. So we want an action plan. Once we have our goals, we want to make sure that maybe there's a plan in place to keep us accountable to our goals. So you want to make sure you have things in your calendar. I would even put like maybe once a week or once a month that you check in and you just notice, are you on track? It's not about failure or not failing or succeeding so much as it is about, are you on track? Create structures of accountability. I find for myself personally, I don't know about you, but that it's a lot, I tend to show up a lot more for others than I do for myself. It's really easy for me to not keep my word to myself when no one's watching. But if you're counting on me to show up, I'm not going to let you down. And then using our voice is really powerful. When we use our voice and we speak things to others listening, we actually are creating and we're putting things into existence. And when we use our voice, we can make declarations. Really powerful declarations, taking out words like maybe, if, I should, I ought, and just being like, I'm committed to X, Y, and Z. This year, I'm going to accomplish whatever those goals are, declaring them, using your voice to speak your vision and enroll others in that possibility you're creating for yourself. And those are just some ways to really keep it alive every day, right? So it doesn't just go on some piece of paper or vision board that ends up back in the corner of your closet that's not getting any of your time and attention come March, April, May, June. Summertime comes, we get antsy, we want to get outside, right? So finding ways, how do I keep this alive every day and in action every day? And small daily practices or progresses are going to lead me to that big change and that manifestation. So in our action plan, just to kind of recap a little bit, we want to make sure we have the long-term vision and goals, and then we have the short-term ones as well, and that we have put them into structure meaning our calendars into existence, pen to paper, and that we're using our voice to share, because the minute we start to do that, we create accountability. Because the next time you see that person, they want to hear about your progress and your commitment. So that's the formula, really, is creating a goal, creating a vision, creating that plan of action. So those 3 circles on the left actually represent a lot of that we've been doing, right, over the last few weeks. And then we add in that personal inventory and that checking in to see if we're on track to hit our mark or off track to hit our mark. And then again, just a recap, right? You can never hear it enough. A reminder to use image, use your imagination, and use your voice, because those are the things that are actually creating your reality right now. So when we bring our consciousness into the process, we're going to get different results. Most of the time, we're just kind of asleep as we move through our day. And what I mean by that is we don't realize we are the law of attraction in action all the time, but we're doing it from kind of a sleepful place, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping over the last 4 series, you've been inspired to create. Maybe you made a vision board. Maybe you haven't had a chance to do that yet. And if you haven't, I encourage you to do it. Take the time. That is an act of self-love, to connect to that creativity that's deep inside of you, your heart's longing, giving yourself a way to find expression, and then also to draw in and attract the things that are going to help you fulfill on those dreams. And with that said, if you ever want any support, and as an Access Elite member, I definitely offer discounted pricing, and Nicole will let you know how you can leverage that. But I will open it up now to any questions that anyone may have, comments. If you want to declare something, feel free. Hi, Camille.
Yeah, I did have
Hi, how are you? Go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
I did have a quick question for you, Lisa. When it comes to having multiple goals, maybe in different sectors of that wheel, how do you suggest someone approach several different goals at one time without feeling like they don't have it in their schedule to give it to all of those goals equally?
Say that one more time. I want to make sure that I'm hearing it clear.
So let's say you're looking at your wheel of life, and you're realizing that there's 4 parts of that wheel that you really want to work on and dedicate to this year.
Yes.
But setting 4 goals kind of seems like a big jump in those areas, and they might all feel like they take a lot of time. So what advice would you give for someone in that position?
Great
trying to tackle many of those goals at once?
So first I would check in to self and just see, like, okay, what feels really important for me this year, Okay. And the goals themselves, like, if they're feeling overwhelming, then how can I make them a little more bite-sized? So it's more of a stepping stone. Like, I'm thinking, like, if you wanted to buy a house, for example, right? A lot of people might be thinking about that right now because the interest rates are so low. And oh my gosh, the prices are so high, right? So it's like, that's an elephant. So rather than approaching it like I got to do getting clear, okay, what are the things that I would need in alignment to purchase a home? And then how could I, like, just one little bite at a time? I think a lot of times, we are so programmed to want everything right now. We want it before we even imagine it, right? So it's like coming down, it's like using our imagination, but coming down into our grounded bodies, and then just making things happen one little step at a time, and having a little patience with ourselves. And I think the inventory, Nicole, is really important, because a lot of times, we're story making machines. So we create this goal and then like, oh my God, I can't do it. And then the story starts, right? And it's like, what if we were to just check in and we didn't look at it like failure? Like, okay, we've got a 12-month plan. And, you know, if we went from the future backwards, like after 3 months, maybe these particular things would be accomplished. Well, if you've never done those things, you have no real idea what it might take. So every 3 months or every month you check in and you look and you know, like buying of the house, it's like, okay, maybe initially that was set specifically, I wanted to do it within the next year. But then as I started to break down those stepping stones, I realized that actually I either need a miracle or I need 2 years before that's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, thank you. That does help clear that up. It is nice to understand a long-term versus short-term goal too. And sometimes we want to jump right to the long one, but we have to take it bit by bit first.
I'm so guilty for that.
Camille, did you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I was just gonna let Lisa know that you know, this imagination and the vision board, but more the imagination, because the limitations we put in our brains also limit our imagination, and you've inspired me to like just let it loose. Imagine, because you can imagine as big as you want, and maybe you won't get to that level, but maybe you will get a level less than that, but you're almost there. So I'm gonna be working on that.
I want to share a story for inspiration because I experienced this happen in the last year, and it speaks a little bit to what you're saying, Camille. And it's a little bit of personal disclosure, but I think it will be, the purpose is to leave you with something. So in October, I took my mom to Big Sur for her 71st birthday, and she had just recently got divorced or had an ending in, you know, a marriage, a divorce in July. So in October, we're at Big Sur, and we were talking about dating and men and these types of things. And I was like, you know, 80%. I've always been like 80, 20, 80%. And she made this declaration. She said, no, I want 100%. So the weirdest thing, we're going to Big Sur, and she was on these dating apps, and she keeps talking to this guy. And I even take her to this location. I really wanted to show her these seals, and she was too busy on the phone. And so I was excited that we were going to be in Big Sur, because in Big Sur, your phone won't work. So I was like, I'm going to have her all to myself. So we had this incredible weekend, and I tell her that weekend, I said, you know, Mom, I don't know if it's healthy that you and I talk about your dating. I think maybe we shouldn't talk about that anymore. So long story short, we come back home. She had spent we did a lot of ritual and taking our attention towards the things that we want. And apparently she had met someone and she'd continue talking to them. I left town like a week later. So after 2 weeks from that trip, I leave town, I come back, and she says to me, you know, do you still have your real estate license? Because I met someone and I think we're looking at moving in and buying a house together. Which is, yes, Camille, your face does it all. I was like, I didn't even know how to digest it. But I just said, you know, I'm going to trust her. She's 71. Who am I to judge her judgment? And then I met him, and, you know, he's like an earth angel. He feels unreal. He's a complete blessing in both of our lives. And he's more than 100%. Aww. Now, my mom, here's the thing about her, though, that I wanted to share. Okay. And they bought the house. They're living in it already. They're so in love. And I've never seen her happier in my life, which is a blessing, right? We all have moms. So to be able to see our moms like fully enjoy at that later stage in life is such a gift. But anyway, so yeah, it was just, she created him, and she always says that, you know. And what I was going to say is she's like a kid. Right? She's almost foolish enough to believe it's possible. And I actually believe, because She allows her heart to feel it.
Mhm.
She is a manifesting machine. I see it over and over again.
That's fantastic. Exactly. Just what you said. She told you 100%. It has to be,
100%.
like very competitive. Like I want the best of the best. And you're going to get at least as close to that, if not that, right? We can't, let lesser.
You gotta watch the attachment.
That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a fine line, right?
So I think to recap just the law of attraction, it's always at play, right? So if I'm constantly thinking, to use my mom as an example, if she was constantly thinking about all the past relationships that didn't work and all the people she had met on online dating that didn't work, and she kept allowing those feelings to move through her body, she would keep getting more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was crazy enough to declare 100% and to actually believe it's true. And just like that, he came out of nowhere.
That's congratulations to your mom. I hope she continues being very happy, and you too, absolutely.
Oh, he's the best thing that happened to me in 2020. So I'm happy for her, but I'm happier for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. That's a great, great story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
so dream big, Camille, and that little voice that comes in and wants to make it small. Yeah. I'm like, you might even tell the voice, like, thank you for sharing. I understand you're afraid to be let down. You're afraid to hope. You're afraid to believe. I get it, but it's okay. Like maybe it'll work out like you were saying, maybe it won't, but I'm going to put my energy, my intention, and my declarations towards that which I want.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That was wonderful. And thank you everyone for joining us. If you loved
I just wanted to, I think next week, does she have down what we're getting into for you? I just thought I would announce it. We're going to be getting into a self-care series.
Oh, okay.
So as we've done all of this creating and all of this, creating our future, like we can get so attached soon by getting those goals, and we can stop taking care of ourselves. So this will be a series of like, how do we keep that integration in our life?
Perfect.
Amazing. If we, yes, we'll definitely be posting. It should already be posted on our website too for the self-care series that we have coming up with you, which is exciting. Well, thank you everyone. And we will see you hopefully next week.
Sounds great.
Can't wait. Thank you so much, Lisa. You're a light. Thank you. Yeah. And even through this electronic nonsense thingies, it comes through. So thank you. Doesn't matter if we're a little separated and thank you, Nicole.
Well, thank you guys. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you everyone for joining us today. If you loved today's class, you can sign up for more events on our mobile app or at accesselitenow.com. And Lisa does have another series under self-care coming up starting next week. So feel free to check that out on our website. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you soon.